Hey, welcome everyone. Jason here at BombBomb for the Bombcast episode 14, and I am pretty excited about this one. We have Elise Archer with us, sales coach and consultant that has some incredible things to chat about. Even last week, or earlier this week, when we got on our kind of prep call, she has some things that she was sharing that I'm pumped to be able to share with everyone on. So if you're just joining us, drop in a like, drop in a thumbs up or a heart to let us know that you're on. And we are excited to kick things off. So before I go any further, Elise, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself and tell us a little bit more about what you do?
Yeah, hey guys. Well, I'm so excited to be here. Thank you, Jason, for having me. And yeah, like you said, I'm a sales and leadership consultant with a company called Southwestern Consulting Group. We are the oldest sales training company in the United States. Have been doing it for 160 years.
Wow.
It's a light bulb. Kind of crazy.
Very.
Yeah, so I coach salespeople, I sell sales coaching, and I use a ton of video in what I do. So really excited to be joining you today and talking about all the awesome ways that salespeople can use video.
That's awesome. So we're going to dive in. We're going to talk about some tactics. We're going to talk about some strategies, some key ways that our audience can be using video. Again, remember everyone that is just joining us, and I see a bunch of people have just popped in. The value of being live and having you guys join us is your ability to comment and ask questions and ask Elise questions. We want to bring real value to you guys and share with you some key tactics and strategies for how you can be leveraging video in your business. It doesn't matter what type of sales you're doing, there's opportunity for you today to begin sending out these types of videos. So one of the first places I wanted to start, Elise, is talking about kind of where have you seen video really begin to transform things for sales professionals in the last few years as you've been coaching and talking with all sorts of organizations across the country?
Yeah, I think there's so many different applications and so many ways that it's transformed just the whole sales process. So I think starting with on the front end, just prospecting and developing relationships, to me, it has become a far more effective tool than calling, emailing, even texting, right? So just leveraging video to get in touch with people. When I look at like where the majority of my clients selling sales coaching have come from, I can actually trace probably 60 to 70% of them back to video in some way, shape, or form. Now, it was not the only way that I got in touch with them, but it was what initiated that conversation. And then I also think just from a client retention standpoint and management and follow-up, it's one of the best touch points that we can use as those people to let our clients know just that we're thinking of them, to wish them good luck if they've got something exciting coming up, like an event. Maybe it's a birthday, maybe it's like a speaking event they're going on, right? Whatever it is, like just letting them know we're thinking of them, getting referrals, building your personal brand. I mean, I could go on, but I think there's just limited application.
So you just touched on something there, and I want to dive into, you said personal brand, and I think it's an interesting conversation to have because I know a lot of times salespeople, right, you're working for a larger organizations. Unless if you're an entrepreneur, it's your own company that you're trying to sell. Typically, you might be selling a product that is branded in a different way that doesn't really have anything to do with you. So talk a little bit about the value of salespeople kind of branding themselves and how do you do that personal brand kind of process and how might video play into that?
Yeah, I think this is so, so critical. I mean, you may work for a large sales organization where they're doing marketing, but all that marketing is going to be typically about the company, right? And at the end of the day, your clients aren't buying a company name. They're buying you, right? They're buying the interactions with you. They're buying the trust in you. And we all have an opportunity to create awareness, to create relationships with people, to let people know a little bit more about what we're all about, right? What we believe in, how we interact with people just by getting the word out there through video of what we do. And I think if a salesperson is not using video to either establish themselves as a subject matter expert online so that they are found when people are looking for what they do, to create a YouTube channel, right, where they're talking about what they're passionate about. Like if they're not doing that, then they're missing a huge opportunity to brand themselves. So I think you can't rely just on the marketing that your company puts out. You have to market yourself. And so much of the client's journey today is done online where they're doing their research before they're reaching out to you, that you have an opportunity to be found, right? One of my large client accounts came because somebody was searching follow-up online and one of my videos came up. And we reached out to, I mean, it's a very broad topic, so I don't know how it came up, but I'm not complaining, right? Yeah. And they reached out, and because they had seen me online already, it creates greater credibility, right? When somebody reaches out. So it changes the interaction when somebody's reaching out to you versus you're prospecting or cold calling them and they've never heard of you before. Right.
So one of the ways is that from just kind of a practical standpoint, like how are you seeing sales professionals doing this, right? Are they distributing videos on YouTube? Is it through Facebook? Like, what are some of the practical ways that this can actually begin to take place in a sales professional's cycle and system?
Yeah, so I think it's important to be everywhere. And so I've got some clients who are sales professionals who do it just in one place, right? Maybe it is just YouTube. Maybe it is just Facebook, but I think my most successful clients try to be everywhere with their video. So they'll do it on YouTube, right? They've got a YouTube channel. They may do like Instagram, right? They may do the Facebook Live. LinkedIn is working really, really well right now for me and for some of my clients as well. It's amazing the organic reach you can get.
Yeah. So tell me about that. Like LinkedIn, right now, a lot of people are seeing that organic reach, like saying, LinkedIn's where Facebook was 5 years ago from the sense of being able just to connect with people without any of the algorithms, without paying any money. How are you seeing video work kind of in the LinkedIn space?
It is crazy. I mean, just up until recently, you couldn't post a video native to LinkedIn, but now they let you do it. And man, I mean, it's the time to capitalize on it. Like when I post a video, I'll typically get, and I think it's all relative, but for me, it's a good amount. It's like 5 to 15 inbound requests a day from my ideal prospects, right? Which is, because then you can follow up with them and you start to build a relationship and they reach out to you, and it's getting seen and it's getting known. And so I think for anybody, especially people who sell B2B, LinkedIn right now, if you're not leveraging organic video, then you're missing out, because it will probably not be this effective for a long time, right? But we have to take advantage of it now.
So when we were talking the other day, you were talking about some of the strategies that you had from kind of people find you, they start following you on LinkedIn, and you were kind of finding a way to get real business or real interactions from gaining that follow. Talk about that process a little bit.
Yeah. So what I do is every 2 weeks, I go through and I look at the inbound requests that I get. And if it's somebody who I actually know, then I'll go ahead and just accept and I'll follow up and send them a personalized note. But probably 80 to 90% of them, I actually don't know the people, but they're coming in because they're seeing my videos. And so I've got a standard follow-up message that I'll send out to them from there. And this is something where if you have an assistant, you can have your assistant do it. So I have my assistant do it for me. You can also do it on your own. But it's basically like, hey, thanks so much for sending me the connection request. Was there anything in particular that prompted it? I'd be more than happy to hop on the phone with you and learn a little bit more about some of your personal goals and what you're working on. If you're thinking we might be able to be of service. And hey, by the way, I also send out regular weekly tips via video on sales and leadership. If you'd like to receive those, just let me know. Send me your best email address and I'll make sure that you receive them. And so that's been a really effective way to both initiate conversations as well as through my email list, because that's, of course, the most direct way to get these videos to people is to email them. But I've also found that a lot of people will write back, and probably 20 to 30% of the people say, yeah, I mean, I'm looking for a sales coach right now, or we need some help with XYZ in our organization. I thought you might be able to help. And the question that I always wonder is, well, were you going to tell me that, or were we going to not know that?
Creep on you or lurk a little while in the background and until they're ready to have that conversation.
But yeah, I think the takeaway there is, if you don't ask, you never know. And there's certain schools of thought where people say, well, I don't accept anybody on LinkedIn that I don't know. And while I think there's value in really knowing everybody in your network, at the same time, I think that's like saying, well, I'm going to walk into a networking event and only talk to people who I already know. Right. There's a lot of value in being willing to accept new people into your network.
Well, and I think you also have to think about the platforms and the different ways that they're being used, right? Instagram, you might say, hey, that's the place for my family. That's the place where I'm posting pictures of my kids. I'm not going to let everyone just follow me in that space. And I could get that. But LinkedIn, the opportunity that's there it's a business networking space. And it's about building relationships. And it's about building that. And so if you get people that begin following you or interact, there's something there that can be a transactional item of value or whatever it might be. And so I love that follow-up. I think that's a key strategy. And one of the things that LinkedIn has recently given you the ability to do is actually put a video as in the Messenger system. And actually with BombBomb, that's something that we can help you get done. Any video that's in your BombBomb account, you can drop into a LinkedIn message. And so then you're not only giving them that great script, but you're giving them that kind of personal interaction. And so I've heard from others that kind of thing is absolutely crushing it. So if you're just joining us, welcome. Jason here with BombBomb. I have Elise on as well. Sales coach and leadership coach, bringing some great tactics and strategies for building your network on LinkedIn, building real connections, leveraging video in that space. Drop a comment in or drop us a thumbs up or a heart if you're enjoying the stuff that she's sharing about here. And again, remember the value of being live with us is you can ask your questions. So we'll be monitoring our stuff here. Please drop a question in. We'd be happy to ask it to Elise and make sure you guys are upping your video game. So Elise, one of the biggest questions that anyone that's doing video has to understand and overcome is how do I get comfortable on camera, right? A lot of times that's the place that if people aren't in the video game that they need to start thinking about. What tips do you have for helping people get comfortable on camera?
Yeah, this is probably, when I'm working with clients and sending out videos, this is probably the number one concern that I hear is, I'm not good on video. I look terrible. I hate the way I sound, right? All of that stuff. And so I think the first thing, Jason, is just a fundamental mindset shift that we have to have in general if we're going to be successful in sales is that it's not about you. It's not about you. If you make it about you, you're always going to be nervous, right? Because anytime when we make something about us, we feel fear about what other people are thinking about us, right? So the first step is just a mindset shift of it's service, right? If I'm doing a service, if I can help somebody, then it doesn't matter if I feel a little weird or a little bit awkward because it's not about me. It's about actually truly helping somebody else, right? So we've got a quote at Southwestern Consulting, it's hard to be nervous when your heart's on service, which sounds a little corny, but is actually really true. And it's helped a lot of my clients get past call reluctance, get past video reluctance. They'll actually put it like above their computer or on their phone and just realize that if you're thinking about helping somebody, it's impossible to physically feel nervous at the same time. And so if you have to say that to yourself like 20 times before you film your video, then do that, right? Whatever you have to do to get your head in the game.
Right.
And then beyond that, more just kind of technical, one thing that I do is I don't watch my videos before I send them out.
Yes.
I know that if I do, I'm going to find like 20 things I don't like about them, and I'm not going to send them. And so it's not that we want to send something that we know is terrible. If you think you goofed or if you think you messed up, then probably go back and watch and just check and see. But if it's just you being hypercritical of yourself,
which will always be the case.
Always be the case. Exactly. Yeah, that's part of human nature, right? And if you know that you delivered what you meant to say, then just send it out, right? Just ship it, get it out there, stop overthinking it. And the more that you can do that, the more natural it'll feel. And I think doing the first one is always the hardest. And then once you do it and you start to actually get some feedback and realize, wow, like people respond to this. And I'm actually getting people to respond to me who haven't been responding to voicemails or to emails, then you start to build that momentum and you get excited about it. So it's really just doing those first couple that's usually the hardest.
And it's there's comments coming in. Drake was saying, I think mistakes make it live, and laughing at yourself is valuable. Do it often. Absolutely. I think we all have that same experience. I want to go back just real quickly because Philip asked a great question. Let's just take a quick step back to the LinkedIn space. He was talking about, for him, a real estate agent, a lot of the stuff he's seeing is just other real estate agents. And so he's kind of stopped paying attention to the LinkedIn space because there's not any other reach of engagement. Do you have any tactics or strategies for kind of growing your followership in the LinkedIn space?
Gosh, yeah. I mean, I think like it's about being intentional with who you're going after, right? So if you just look at the people that you see around you in your natural network and you're not intentional about going out and finding partners, new people, then yeah, you'll continue to just see, like in his case, realtors, right? If I wasn't intentional about going out and building relationships with people in other industries, then I'd continue to probably see people who are other sales trainers or sales coaches. But it's know who you want to build a relationship with and then create content directly for them.
Yeah.
Right? Think about what are the things that they need that would be valuable to them. Start creating content for them. Send it to them. You can send it on LinkedIn. Do the direct message like you talked about, Jason, which is powerful. And if you give them value, then they'll start to share it with their network, and then your network changes.
And I think your play, I mean, it's really, it's not, it's basic. It takes a little bit of strategy behind it, but it's all about the content that you're going to be creating and putting on LinkedIn. And that's the opportunity, is that organic reach of the content is going to be a lot more engaged. Philip just also asked a great follow-up question. You know, I'm not, being on camera is not the problem. It's being able to get people to open and play and engage is kind of the biggest issue there. I'll tell you, LinkedIn, let's say you send someone an email. Because you have their email address, you could probably go find them on LinkedIn as well. And if you sent them a direct message on LinkedIn, and with the same video, maybe that you shot them as an email, you may get a higher engagement rate because of the noise that sometimes can be in the inbox. And it's just one extra step. And you can change up the language. Hey, I sent you an email, but I wanted to follow up here as well. It can be a key strategy of getting in front of people and upping that engagement rate. Daniel just asked, you know, do you have any strategies for reducing redundancy within your content creation and keeping it fresh? Great question, Daniel.
That is a good question. Yeah. So one of the things that I did when I first started doing videos is I did a brain dump list of everything that I could possibly ever talk about. So you just kind of think about, all right, out of every experience I've had in life, out of like my career and even just personal life, what's all the stuff I could talk about? So in my case, I started thinking about, like, in the world of sales, I can talk about prospect, time management, closing, referrals. I can also talk about like being a daughter, being a sister, being a wife, right? Like all this, just think about all your life experiences. Now, not all of those are necessarily things that you want to create content about, but they are things that you have expertise in and that you can talk about. And then I just keep a running list, and every week I'll look at that list and it'll be like, okay, what do I want to talk about this week? But I think that it's a valid question, but you don't need to be too concerned about it, because so many people are going to miss that first piece of content anyway, just because, like you said, Jason, there is so much noise that there are people who recycle the same content over and over and over again. And there are actually platforms like Meet Edgar that will do that for you, right? Where you recycle the same piece of content just to get it in front of more people. And nobody ever even notices. So I wouldn't worry too much about, did I duplicate this? Right.
Right. I was gonna say kind of the same thing. You know, if you pay attention to other content creators, social influencers, and you follow them, you'll begin to see these patterns where they are cycling through their content on a semi-regular basis. There's an element of, you got to keep it fresh. But I think one of the hardest things about content creation is sometimes that word creation we think means originality. And that can be a slippery slope, because sometimes you have a great idea, but there's 20 different ways to come at that idea. You don't have to always come up with a new concept or new thing that you're sharing. Sometimes it's about the angles. And then repetition, you know, in the marketing space especially, a lot of people fear repetition, but just what do you see on television, right? How many times do you see the same commercial over and over? And I get it. You might ignore it. You might have the mute button on. But there's a strategy there that's really important. And so don't let the repetition thing scare you, which is one of the next questions I wanted to jump into is, with all this content creation, all the things that you're doing, how are you measuring success? Like what for you makes sure that this is an ROI positive activity that's taking place?
Yeah, that's a good question. And that's something that a lot of people ask, like, how do I know that this is even worth it? And I am somebody who does not get overly concerned with the metrics. Now, like I said, I can track just because anecdotally people will say, I saw one of your videos. I came across you in a video. So for me, it's more just anecdotal evidence. Am I hearing from people that they saw a video? Am I getting responses back when I send a bomb email or when I send one via LinkedIn? Like that tells me that it's working. But outside of that, I think the mindset of I have to get X ROI from everything that I do it's kind of selfish. I think one of the best and most important things in sales and in life in general is to focus on how much can I give, right? How much can I give away? And even if I never made $1 from a video, if it helped people, like if it actually added value and helped people change their lives and get new ideas and do things to improve their processes so they could help more people, I would keep doing them. Right. So it's not all about the money at the end of the day. That comes when you do things right. But I think if you can look at it as this is my way of giving value, this is my way of giving back. I'm going to help a lot of people, and that's what it's about. Then the money always comes. It always does. So I don't get too concerned about that, to be honest.
And I think it's a key thing, right? And Gary Vaynerchuk's famous for saying 1 is better than 0, right? Like one piece of content, one video, one view is better than nothing, because that one person may have gotten something from you, and that will lead on to other things. And so it's a hard one when you begin thinking about what am I tracking, what am I spending my time on. But I think you have to have that shift of mentality, see it as a way of being generous and engaging. So if you're just joining us, and I saw a bunch of people just hop on, thanks for joining us live. Have Elise Archer, sales and leadership coach, talking about tactics and strategies. We talked about LinkedIn. We talked about some other ways. How are you measuring the success? Got a couple more things that we're going to dive into here over the course of the next 10 minutes or so before we wrap things up. If you have a question, please pop it in. I saw Daniel just asked another good question for new people within the world of content creation. Do you personally view it as an income producing activity or as a value producing activity? Good question, Dan. I think we just touched on that. It's more about the value than the income. The reason I wanted to bring that up is because there's these other ways to be using video. We've been talking about the highest level, right? What's going out on YouTube? What's going on Facebook? What are you putting out on LinkedIn? But from a sales strategy and a follow-up strategy and building a relationship strategy, Elise, what are some of the ways that scripts, processes that you see salespeople beginning to implement with video that is helping them close down more business?
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I mean, everything. So I was working with a client this morning who has a big event where she needs to invite clients to the event. And actually, I should say they're prospects that she's inviting to the event, and they will hopefully become clients of hers at the event. So she's using video to send out invitations to the event. She'll have a phone conversation with them, and then she'll send out a follow-up video about how excited she is to see them there. I mean, I think so. Daniel, I think I know who this Daniel is, and he's a realtor, right? He should be using video in all different applications in his business to show homes, right? As a thank you follow-up, like when you get that inbound lead, hey, got the request for a call. Like even if you're busy, even if you're in the middle of something, you can shoot a quick video and be like, I'm going to get back to you at such and such time tonight. Right? There's just every step of the sales process, you could incorporate video. I don't think it replaces everything that you do, but it supplements it. And we're at the point with video where more and more people are using it, but it's still like, I think if you look at the adoption rate, and you probably have better numbers than I do, even on this, Jason, but there's still a lot of people who aren't using it yet. And anytime you can be first to a platform, or first to use something, you're going to grow more followers. You're going to get more people responding. You're going to stand out more. And so I think it's something that can supplement every step of the sales process to be an effective way of getting in touch and communicating.
So let's talk practical. You get the lead that comes in and you send them a video and they don't watch it. Do you quit or do you keep going? Like, what is the process? How many videos? I know a lot of times this is the question that people are always curious about, is that, you know, it can be discouraging. Trust me, I have sent out a lot of videos that have never been viewed, never been seen, and it can be discouraging. So what is that process? How many touches? What do you see? I know it can be industry specific, but just kind of at a high level, how should people be approaching this?
Yeah. Well, the worst is if they view it and they don't respond, right? Because then you're like,
yes.
Your day. But so, no, I think, so my rule of thumb is I try to do about 12 touches with people to get in touch with them initially. Video is probably going to be 3 or 4 of those. It's going to be early on. So usually my first outreach will be either a phone call, a video, or maybe I'll send them a LinkedIn message, or maybe some sort of combination of the 3,
Yeah.
right? And then I'm doing different touch points throughout. Like I try to do about 2 a week to reach out to a new prospect, and everybody's sales cycle is a little bit different. So you'd have to customize this for your own.
Right.
12 touch points. If I still haven't heard back, then I'll usually send them some sort of like a ball in your court message. Like, hey, here's why I've been trying to get in touch, kind of laying it all on the line. I'm going to assume at this point that this just isn't something that you're interested in. And that's totally fine. If by chance you were and just haven't been able to follow up with me yet, here's how you get in touch with me. If not, no biggie. And I wish you the best of success in the future. And then you just say, I'm going to leave the ball in your court to get in touch with me. Right. By doing that, it's amazing. Like I find about half of people will actually get back to you and say, oh no, I actually didn't want to talk with you. I've just been busy, right? It's kind of like whoever's less interested is usually the one who wins. So all of a sudden when you're not pursuing them anymore, they're like, no, I really do want to talk to you. But other people will write back and explain why they haven't been in touch, and that's cool. Or you may just not hear from them, and that's okay too. And then I'll just do a note on my calendar to start reaching back out again in about 6 months. You don't tell them, but it just helps you make sure that you're staying on top of things, because sometimes people's situations change and they may not have been receptive 6 months ago, but they are now.
So I love it. I want to ask the audience right now, drop a comment in. How many of you guys have a ball in your court type of communication that you're sending out kind of at that person's been unresponsive or they haven't been engaging? Are you leveraging that tactic? Because it's brilliant and it's a key way to make sure you're re-engaging those people. And it was something that clearly would be working. So drop us a comment in. Let us know how many of you guys are leveraging that kind of idea. And then that follow-up process, right? After 6 months, you begin to engage with them, begin to really build that further relationship, provide value for them. Do you invite them into your Facebook page, YouTube? Do you give them the value that you are putting out in the world? Do you invite them to engage with you in that space?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And I think that's part of the beauty of being consistent with creating video too, is even if somebody isn't ready to do business with you yet, if they can follow you, and sometimes it takes years, right? But if you give them ways to still connect with you and learn from you and follow you, and that's part of why I like doing video emails, because it puts me directly in people's inbox every day, sharing value. So I'm able to stay top of mind, and it's easily shareable because they can forward it along, pass it along to somebody else. But even if they're just following on social channels, then you're still staying top of mind. And so my whole goal is, if you're not ready to do business with me today, that's fine. But I want to be the one that you think of when you do a sales or a sales consultant. And this is really the best way that I found to do it. And even if they never end up buying from you, you're still helping them, right? That's the idea. So I think it's critical to be in front of people in as many places as you can. And at some point, when they think of you, right? Or when they think of you, they have your mind.
Right. That's awesome. That's awesome. Several people have dropped a comment in saying that they aren't doing a ball in the court type message. But this is definitely something that they're going to start using. So that's great. Love it. Well, we're kind of getting here towards the bottom of the hour. Thank you guys. Some people just jumped on as well. We have Elise Archer, sales and leadership coach and consultant, talking about tactics and strategies for using video in your business. If you have other questions, please pop them in. We'd love to talk other strategies, ways that Elise is using video in her business, as well as coaching others to be able to adopt video into their business. Ryan just said, by the way, you don't have to be as pretty as Elise or as handsome as John to crush it with video. Be valuable, make video, change your business, and lead conversion. And Ryan, you're absolutely right. I'm not sure who John is. Might be that guy behind me hanging out. My name's Jason, but love it. Thanks, Ryan. Appreciate it. Anything else, Elise? Any parting tips, wisdom, things that you would just love for the audience to kind of think about as they begin or continue on in their video journey?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's, hey, if you're not doing this yet, get started. Do your first one. And it's so much fun once you start seeing how you can reach people more effectively, how you can add value, how you can get through to people who you'd had trouble getting through to before. And if you're already doing it, but you're not doing it regularly, I would challenge you to up your game, right? So my personal goal is to do a video every single day. Now, I don't always get there, but I get pretty close. And I found just by being consistent and being in front of people and adding value, it's incredible the opportunities that come to you, kind of like this, right?
Yeah.
And so it's really just focusing on service and getting your message out. And what do you, I think, and this is kind of big picture, but like, what do you want to leave behind, right? When you leave this earth, like, what's your message? What do you want to leave behind? How do you want to add value? And video is an amazing way to do it. And so think about, like, if I needed to leave a message for the people in my sphere, in my network, if I wanted to be known for something, what would it be? Video is a great way to do that, right? Leave your legacy in video. I think it's an incredibly powerful tool. So just my message.
Yeah. And hopefully we're all selling products that we love. And so talking about it and providing value around it is something that should bring us joy. And if you're not, that might be a bigger question to answer around what you're doing with your life and what you're selling. Daniel just asked a great question. What has been more powerful for you, Elise? Facebook Live, videos on Facebook, just kind of on your business page, or LinkedIn?
LinkedIn, by far. And
Yeah.
I don't know that would be the case for everybody, but I think Facebook, at least I've found, like, unless you're promoting the videos and doing sponsored content, then they don't have as much reach. Now, I personally don't do a whole lot of Facebook Live, so this is a little bit unusual for me, and I know Facebook Live works really well. So I think it would be probably Facebook Live or LinkedIn videos. For me, I've had a lot of success on LinkedIn, but yeah, for Daniel, for anybody who's like B2C, or in any of those industries, I think Facebook Live can be really effective as well.
Yeah, I think, when you think about LinkedIn, really it's about that interaction, the one-to-one. Love the follow-up strategies and tactics that we were talking about. You get a little bit of organic reach with LinkedIn of people seeing your videos. Probably whatever you're putting on LinkedIn, you should be putting on Facebook as well for the cross-pollination of the content. Certain things should live uniquely within each channel so that people have a reason to follow you on LinkedIn and a reason to follow you on Facebook. And Daniel, just our 2 cents on Facebook Live, it can be really powerful for pulling people in, engaging with you. The difficulty of Facebook Live is the fact that you're pulling people out of their day to interact. And so, first of all, thank you for everyone that's been watching, that you came out of your day to spend the last half hour with us. Hopefully, as we're doing the Bombcast, and we'll continue to be doing the Bombcast, we're providing enough value for you to say, I want to be a part of this. The guests that we're bringing on, incredible insight. It's going to help you increase your video game. So Facebook Live is an interesting one. And we had a previous Bombcast episode, I think it was episode 8 with Sue Benson, who talked all about Facebook Live. So go back in the catalog and check that out. You might find some valuable things there as well. So thanks, guys. Everyone's saying that this has been great. Thank you, Elise, for being on. Such a great guest. We'll be back in 2 weeks with our next episode. We're excited to bring it to you. And in April, we're going to start doing Bombcast every single week. We've got so many incredible guests lined up that we couldn't be going every other week. So be looking for more Bombcasts coming to you in April. Thank you, Elise. Thank you for everyone for watching. Have a great rest of your day, and we'll see you later.